everyone. My name is Zuleyma. Welcome to Building the Wealth. I'm here going to be showcasing a presentation, and I'm also going to be talking about wealth building. So I want to thank WYTV7 for helping me bring this information to you. We're just going to dive straight into it. Let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. All right. So we have a few presentations. This will be our first broadcast. So we have the first one called Handle Your Money Investing in Yourself. So one of the big things when it comes to building wealth is investing the money that you make from your 8 to 5 to your well-being and to your portfolio. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, I want to share my story just so you can know some of my information, my background, where I come from. So I was born in Mexico in 1994, so a few decades at this point back. I was born in Oaxaca. I arrived here in the U.S. when I was 5 years old. My family was very poor when we arrived to the U.S. Most of our childhood, we were assisted using government aid. We had food stamps, we had all that good stuff. So I'm very supportive of government programs like those because they do help a lot. But the reason I'm sharing this is because I do not come from a wealth background. Where I'm at right now, I built it from scratch, and it's one of the big things that I want everyone to know, that to build wealth, you don't have to start wealthy. You can start with nothing, and you can grow to become a wealthy individual later in life by making smart choices. And you will see those smart choices as we go through the presentation today. So one of the things that happened when I was growing up is that I was very active in my community. I was in tune with what was going on with the politics. So I knew when immigration programs were coming up that were going to be beneficial to myself and my family. So one of the big ones was the California Dream Act. I am here in Southern California, and the California Dream Act was signed in 2011. And I actually went to college in 2012. So right before I started college, the California Dream Act made it so the state was able to grant some federal aid to college students who were undocumented. That meant that I didn't have to go into debt to go into college. I know student debt is a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, but I was privileged enough to be able to apply to this program and was able to get a grant. And this really helped a lot. So one of the smart choices that I really want you to take home today is, if you are going to college, one of the biggest things is to avoid student debt. And you do that by being in tune with what's going on at the state level, at the federal level with financial aid, and even at the college that you're applying to. So you want to get as much financial aid as possible, because if you do that, it means that you will have less debt once you graduate, and that will put you ahead of many of your peers. So that happened in 2011. And then DACA, which was a federal program, was signed in 2012, and that gave work permits to undocumented individuals. It's only certain individuals that came to the U.S. during a certain time period. So not a lot of people are eligible for it, but I was fortunately able to get a work permit through that program. So that meant that once I got to college, my second year, I was actually able to start working. So not only did I have financial aid, I also was working part-time while in college. So again, that helped me keep my debt low. By the time I graduated, I really didn't have too much debt. I had maybe one credit card, and maybe it was like 1,000 something. But otherwise, I didn't have any debt. And that, again, puts you ahead of so many of your peers. So I cannot emphasize that enough. And then once I got to college, I, again, stay informed with what was going on around me. I applied for the grants for the financial aid each year. And then one of the things also that I think made a big impact when it came to my money and wealth track during this time was that instead of buying a car, I bought a scooter. Buying a car is a very big decision, especially right out of high school, because not only are you going to have the car payment, you also have insurance payment, you will have gas, right, that you have to pay to use that car. So it starts adding up, and that monthly payment that maybe the car dealership told you was gonna be $250 a month turns out to be $500 when you add everything up. So one of the other smart choices is to really be realistic with what kind of transportation you're gonna be taking, because again, you don't want to be stuck with these large payments while you're in college, because you are a college student, right? You're not gonna be having too much flexible spending during that time. So keep your spending low and your debt low, and that monthly debt even lower if you can. One other thing that I did do during this time is that I had my college roadmap. So I knew what classes I needed to take and to get the degree I wanted. So I stuck to that. I didn't really change my classes too much. Maybe I took like an art class here and there, but otherwise I followed this roadmap to the T, and that allowed me to finish school within 4 years. So being able to do that meant that, again, college debt wasn't really a big thing for me. However, I do have some friends that unfortunately, because if they changed their majors a few times, they had to do an extra year of education. And that's a lot of money, right? That's another year of college tuition that you have to find somewhere and you have to pay yourself. So if you follow your roadmap and you finish your 4 years, again, you should be able to keep that student debt low. And again, we're talking about smart choices, right? From high school to college. So what about in college? Again, having that part-time job helped a lot. Not taking out too many student loans. I had one that I was able to pay off relatively fast. It was only like 1,000 something, and it was only for, I think, one class that I really needed, and wasn't able to pay with my financial aid. But again, it was very low throughout my 4 years there. And then I also waited until my last year to buy a small used car. But throughout my college years, I was using a scooter to get around. So after college, so what are smart choices that you can make after college? So one of the things that I really knew that I wanted after college was to buy a home, because I knew that being a homeowner was a big thing when it came to building wealth. So what I did is that I attended local home buying workshops that were free. They were through nonprofits in my area. And those really gave me an idea of what I needed to do to get to a place where I could afford to buy a house. So during my year after college, I moved back to my parents actually at some point, and I was able to save over 10K for a home, and I was approved for a 100K mortgage in 2018. Now, 100K mortgage doesn't sound a lot, and it's really not, especially for Southern California. But again, because I had that flexibility with my job, because I was working part-time in the office and part-time out of the office, I was able to look more outside where I was living. I was living in one of the most expensive counties in Southern California, which is Orange County. So I actually looked at places outside where I was raised, and I started looking at the Inland Empire, which is a little bit more affordable. And I was able to find a house for 140. It was like a little rundown cabin, needed a lot of love and care. But I knew that it was right for me because, again, the price was right. The location, I fell in love with the location. It's in the National Forest, so I have a beautiful view of trees and just nature. And I'm a very big nature person, so I fell in love with the town. So I bought the house, and because it was a buyer's market, meaning that there was more homes in the market, that there was buyers, especially for this house, I was actually able to negotiate pretty well with the seller and was able to buy it with only 5K. So I only needed half of what I saved to be able to purchase the house, which is crazy, right? People are always scared about that mortgage insurance that goes in when you don't put 20% down. But I was actually able to get rid of that mortgage insurance within 3 years, because homes here in Southern California appreciate so fast. So by the time that I finished paying for 3 years of my payments, I called the bank, told them like, hey, can you come and check the value of my house so I can get rid of this home insurance, mortgage insurance? And they came by. It was a really quick process, and they were able to take it out. So within 3 years, I was able to get rid of that extra payment that was going to the mortgage insurance. So again, that 20% wasn't a big issue for me. And again, this was me in my head wanting to buy a home, realizing that having that home was going to allow me to build wealth and was giving me more of a peace of mind about my housing situation as well. I didn't have to deal with that high rent in Orange County or have to fear about increasing rent prices in that area. So we're going to stop here. We're going to do a quick commercial and then we'll be back.
We all want the best for our children so that they can excel in life. But as the world around us becomes increasingly complex, the stress levels of our children are rising. Their attention spans are decreasing and their minds are becoming restless. How can we help them deal with this complex world around them and realize their true potential? The answer lies hidden inside the minds of every child. The Brighter Minds program unlocks the hidden potential of your child and makes them ready for their future. It uses the principle of enhancing the capacity of the brain and its reception to learning, using neuroplasticity, epigenetics, and entrainment, bringing about a fine balance between the logical, analytical, creative, and intuitive processes of your child. Brighter Minds makes your child ready for the future. Give your child the right gift of Brighter Minds, the gift of a lifetime.
All right, so we're back. So I left off with the home purchase. So like I was mentioning, I was able to purchase my house. It was a buyer's market. I was able to get it with $5,000 down. And then I was able to take off that mortgage insurance within 3 years after purchasing that house. Now, what did I do with the other $5,000, right? I saved not so much, but I saved $10,000. So with $5,000, I got my house. With the other $5,000, what I did is I opened a Roth IRA. So I was able to get that. I bought some index funds in there and I left it. There was my start to my wealth building journey. So a purchase home and a Roth IRA. One of the other smart choices I do want to say that I made was that I did marry a financially compatible man. So I'm very into finances when I was in college, after college. So when I started dating, one of the big things was that I was very open about my financial journey with my partner. I let him know what I wanted, where I was seeing myself in a few years. And it turned out that we both had the same vision for our future. So talking about money, even though it might be awkward during your dating phase, I think it is very important because you want to be in the same page. So where am I today? So I want to share some numbers. Now, before I do that though, let's talk about net worth and how to calculate that. So net worth is basically your assets minus your liabilities. So your assets include liquid assets, investment assets, personal assets, and real estate. Those are all assets that you have that is your wealth, right? Liabilities is your undercurrent liabilities and long-term liabilities, and those is just debt that you have. So what you're doing is that you're taking the wealth under these assets, subtracting the debt that you have, and that'll be your net worth in total. So some of examples that I want to showcase here are liquid assets include cash, your checking and savings accounts, your market funds, for example. So this is money that you can get right away, that you can go to the bank and get it out, or that you can take it, just transfer it over to your checks account and just make a check and done, right? So liquid assets, just fast cash that you have in hand. Investment assets, on the other hand, are accounts like 401k, your Roth IRA, and other retirement accounts, and your brokerage accounts, where it might take like a few days to get it out. And additionally, these accounts, you don't want to be using as a checkings account where you taking out money and putting it back in. No, these are savings. These are long-term accounts that you don't want to be touching. Then you have personal assets, which include vehicles, collectibles. If you have a car, how much is it worth if you were to sell it right now? If something happened, how much can you get for your car? So that's the value that you're going to put under your personal assets. If you have collectibles, my husband collects Pokemon cards. It's a big collector item. So those are, for example, one of the things. If you collect art pieces, that'll be in there as well. Anything that there's value to and that you can sell in the market, that'll be under your personal assets. Then you have real estate. So the current home value. So we're not talking about how much you owe in your house, it's what you can sell your house right now. So if you were to put your house in the market, what is that value, right? And then you also have investment property. So if you have a rental property that you have, that will be there as well. And again, it's the value in the market currently for that rental property. And then on the current liabilities, we're talking about credit card debt, personal student loans, car loans. So liabilities that you have to be paying frequently, monthly, for example. For long-term liabilities, these are like a few years that you have to pay them off. Credit card debt, again, that one is every month. Car loans might be like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Personal and student loans, again, that could be 10 years. Mortgage and homes, those are like 30-year terms, right? So these are long term that you're looking at. Also, mortgage on investment properties. So if you have a mortgage on your home and on investment properties, you're looking at both. Now, I'm going to show you guys an example of what that looks like with some of our numbers. So here, I break it down. So here in California, if you divorce, everything gets split in half. So right here, I have 50% of what we owe to showcase what my net worth is, right? And what my net worth is, not including my husband's. If you get a prenup, in your prenup, you can say that your Roth IRA, your 401k, so any retirement account stays with that person. If you don't, in California, retirement accounts do get split. So just be aware of that. So here we have the checkings accounts, we have house fund, emergency fund. So these are all just cash accounts. You can see here we have, I think it was like 4K in cash, basically. So we don't have that much cash. We only keep what we need in hand. For the brokerage account, we're looking at 34K. For the Roth IRA, we're looking at 27K. Husband Roth IRA here is 16. Husband 401k is 2. My husband started a little later than me. These are not our current numbers. We have increased a little bit. I just haven't had a chance to update the slide. But then here we have the home values to 64. So again, one of the big things about Southern California is that these houses just go up in price like crazy. So the house value has practically almost doubled by the time I did the slide. And then we have vehicles as well. We saw the Kelly Blue Book price, I believe it is. You can get that price there for the market. That's around 6, and virtual and other assets that's around 2. That one is it's an estimate. The only debt we have is our mortgage, which is 117. And then so personal net worth here is 124 for myself. Our household would be 239. So having this kind of breakdown really helps you see where you're at, and don't be scared if it's negative, because if you're just starting your financial journey, you didn't know anything about finances, most of the time you will have a negative net worth, just because, again, this is not something that's taught in schools. It's not taught in colleges either. This is something that most of us learn outside of school. So don't be scared to see the negative net worth. I think a good starting point is just knowing where you're at and then building that into where you want to be. So with that, you can see we're progressing pretty well. Both me and my husband are just turning 29 this year, so we're pretty young. Our goal is to retire at 45, and I think we're headed that way. So what is the difference between rich and wealthy? Because I did want to emphasize this, because you can see someone who is very well off and think that they're wealthy, but what could be going on behind the scenes is that they have a lot of debt and a lot of payments. So here we have 2 individuals. Some of you guys may know them. And let's break down their information. Now, here we have Cristiano Ronaldo, which is a soccer player, right? When I made the slide, his net worth was around $500 million. He plays for Manchester United, and majority of his earnings come from endorsements and his club salary and bonuses. Now here we have Malcolm Glazer. During this time, he had net worth of $4 billion, and he actually bought Manchester United, who Ronaldo was playing for, right? And his earnings come from a diversified investment portfolio. So here we can see the difference between rich and wealthy. So the rich individual here is Ronaldo, because most of his earnings come from his activity as a soccer player. So if something were to happen to him and he was not able to play soccer no more, his earnings will probably decrease by a lot, because his main source of income is, again, his ability to play soccer and get endorsements through that. Well, here Glazer, his money comes from a diversified investment portfolio. Unless like the whole market does horrible, then this man will decrease. Otherwise, it's called the team that he bought, Manchester United. If Manchester United doesn't have that great of a year, this man is still gonna be wealthy. It's not gonna make a big difference because he has that diversified investment portfolio, and that's a big difference between rich and wealthy. That the wealthy don't have to really worry too much about earning and income through their own work. Their portfolio is the thing that's earning them money. So they're pretty much have that financial freedom that maybe Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't have because most of his earnings are coming from that tied to soccer. Okay, so that was the main difference between the two. And again, to become wealthy, to become financially free, here are some of the steps. So I wanted to just summarize everything before we go. Step one, you want to automate your paycheck to make sure that money is going into your saving and investment accounts. The minimum is 10%. So minimum 10% of your paycheck should be going into saving and investment accounts. So step two is to spend money on things that bring value to your life. I'm not one of those individuals that's going to be telling you to never spend money, to save everything. No, you want to be able to live your life and still save for retirement and still invest in yourself. And just be able to be present in the moment as well. So if going to Starbucks, makes you happy, keep going. Just don't be spending money on other things that maybe don't bring happiness and value to your life. You don't want to be spending your money in different buckets. You want to only be spending money on buckets that really bring value to your life and make you happy. Step three is to look ways to increase and diversify your income through internship, dividends, and more. So if you have a 9-to-5 job, maybe see if there's other places that after work, maybe you can earn some income here and there. If you have a portfolio, the portfolio itself is earning you income outside of work through dividends. And step four is to avoid lifestyle creep. As your money increases, people tend to want to spend more. The idea is to, instead of spending that money, making sure that you put some of that bonus money or increase in salary aside into your retirement accounts. And number five is to just give back to your community, family, and friends. Donate to charities that you like. Give information that you learn here in our show, in our broadcast, to your family and friends so they can also start building their wealth as well. And that will be our presentation for this week. Thank you guys for joining us. And if you believe in this program and what we're doing, consider donating today to WYTV7. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.